Can a manufacturer that has never competed in F1 arrive in 2026 and revolutionize everything with cutting-edge technology, enormous ambitions, and a long-term strategy? Audi thinks so. But how realistic is that dream? Today I tell you why the new Audi R26 is much more than a debut. It could be the beginning of a new era. November 11th, 2025. A date that many will overlook, but that for the most observant will be remembered as the moment when Audi changed the course of Formula One. Not because of what was exactly shown, but because of what was hinted at, because of the underlying intention. In an era where each team hides more than it reveals, Audi did just the opposite. It decided to show itself. But not through data or figures, but through a symbolic, conceptual, almost artistic statement. The presentation took place at the Audi Brand Experience Center in Munich, a building that, like the car that was presented itself, is designed to impress without excess. It is a modern, geometric structure, almost clinical in its appearance, but with a restrained elegance that reflects the Germanic approach: precision, purpose, and no unnecessary flourishes. This was the setting chosen to reveal the R26 concept to the world. And that choice was no coincidence. From the first moment, it was clear that what was at stake was much more than a car. Audi did not want to present just a machine. What they did was build a narrative. The R26 concept is not a race-ready car. It's not even made for running. It is a design exercise, a manifesto, the first chapter of a book that has not yet been written, but that already has a cover, a prologue, and a very clear idea of where it is going. And this is where the most important key to this whole story comes in. The R26 concept is an idea turned into an object. It is not about knowing how much downforce it generates or if its spoiler is adjustable. The focus was on its shape, on its colors, on what it represents visually. Massimo Frascella, creative director of Audi, explained that this car is based on 4 essential values that will guide the entire project: clarity, technique, intelligence, and emotion. It's not just any list. Each word summarizes a decade of intentions. What was presented that day was a reinterpretation of what a Formula One car should be under the gaze of Audi. Not in terms of regulation, but in terms of meaning. The lines of the R26 are clean, angular, minimalist. The body is unadorned. Every cut, every surface, every shadow was designed with one objective: to convey control. Not exuberance, not aggressiveness, control. And in that design, visual language plays a leading role. 3 main shades were chosen: titanium, carbon black, and a new lava red. It was not a whim. That red has history. It is an evolution of the Audi red used in past competitions, but now deeper, denser, more dramatic. A direct nod to auto unions past, those silver monsters that dominated Grand Prix before World War II. Red was then used as an accent, as a warning, as an element that captured attention without shouting. Now, Audi recovers it to tell the world that they are back, and that this time they are not coming to try their luck. They are coming to build a legacy. The final car will only be seen in January 2026, days before private testing begins at the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. That will be the true technical letter. But November's concept was, and this is crucial, a message of intent. A message addressed not only to the public, but also to rivals. To Mercedes, to Ferrari, to Red Bull. To all. Audi has just entered the most exclusive club in motorsports, and it has done so with a position that few brands have had in their debut. They failed to integrate, they managed to impose a new aesthetic, a new vision, and eventually, a new hegemony. The new technical regulations represent such a profound change that it could be argued that the cars will no longer even resemble what we understand today as a Formula One. And in this new scenario, the Audi R26 will not only be a participant, it will be a pioneer. Because it is being designed from scratch, without inheritances from the past. Without the need to adapt previous concepts. A car for a new F1, built with the freedom that only a blank page can grant. The physical dimensions will be different. The cars will have a wheelbase of 3.40 meters, 20 centimeters less than in 2025, and a track width reduced to 190 centimeters, compared to the current 200. They will also be lighter. 768 kilograms of minimum weight, compared to 798 the previous year. But the important thing is not only that they will be smaller, but what that implies. Agility, precision, rhythm. F1 wants to look fast again, not just be fast. He wants to be spectacular again. And Audi is designing the R26 with that goal in mind. But this new regulation does not stop at the silhouette. Its most radical transformation is in aerodynamics. For the first time in modern F1 history, the cars will have active aerodynamics as standard. not a specific DRS limited to certain areas. We are talking about a completely integrated system that will transform the car in real time, curve by curve. Audi, like the rest of the teams, must implement two defined aerodynamic modes. Z mode with high load, designed for curves, and the X mode, low resistance, ideal for straight lines. The idea is not only that the car runs more straight, it saves energy. Because now, the management of the hybrid system will be just as important as the power of the thermal engine. Here comes a fundamental piece: goodbye to the MGUH. This extremely complex and expensive component will be eliminated. Instead, the MGUK will go from generating 120 kilowatts to an impressive 350 kilowatts. This is not a minor change. It is a total restructuring of the car's energy logic. If before the thermal engine generated 80% of the power and the hybrid system 20%, in 2026 the distribution will be almost 50-50. That makes F1's semi-electric in practical terms, and requires surgical precision in how energy is used, stored, and recovered. And this is where active aerodynamics is not an advantage but a necessity. To maximize the efficiency of the new hybrid system, the car must be able to drastically reduce its straight-line air resistance and increase its energy recovery during braking. If you don't, you won't be competitive. It doesn't matter how much engine it has. This is the big difference compared to any other previous technical change. Audi knows it. And that is why, although the final car has not yet been presented, they are already working with internal simulations and in collaboration with the FIA to understand the limits of this new concept. But not everything has gone well. The first test showed serious problems. The FIA simulations showed worrying results. Cars that were unstable, uncontrollable on a straight line, with a tendency to spin even under normal conditions. The system, when operating only with the rear wing open as the old DRS did, created such an extreme aerodynamic imbalance that many simulators showed cars slower than Formula 2 cars. The chaos was such that some teams suggested removing X mode altogether. But the FIA had another plan: to make the front wing a main actor, not a secondary one. This is how the synchronized active aerodynamic system was born. Now, every time the rear wing changes its configuration, the front wing will have to adapt at the same time. It is not optional. It is mandatory. Because if they don't do it together, the car becomes unpredictable. Jason Somerville, head of aerodynamics at the FIA, explained that this discovery was critical. Simulations showed that the drivers could not control the car when there was an imbalance between the front and rear loads. It was like driving on ice. Only when both wings worked together was a minimum of stability recovered. This adjustment has forced all teams to rethink their aerodynamic packages. And Audi is doing it from scratch, which, paradoxically, may be its greatest advantage. While other teams must adapt previous platforms, Audi is building a philosophy from the ground up. And that could translate into a more natural integration between chassis, power unit, and aerodynamics. What awaits us in 2026 will not just be a season with different cars. It will be a season with cars that are more unpredictable, more variable, more difficult to understand for the casual viewer, but infinitely more fascinating for those who love the engineering behind the show. The creation of the engine did not begin with an idea, but with a strategic decision of enormous weight, not to depend on anyone. Neither from previous agreements, nor from external partners, nor from platforms inherited from the previous hybrid era. Audi decided that if it was going to get into Formula 1, it would do it its way. Designing, manufacturing, and tuning every internal drivetrain component. That technological independence is both an advantage and a risk. Because in modern F1, no team that has recently entered from scratch has had immediate success with its own engine. It is a monstrous challenge. And yet, Audi has chosen to face it with absolute conviction. The 2026 power unit represents a revolution in itself. It will have a 1.6-liter turbocharged V6 engine, similar in architecture to the current one, but with a completely different essence. The element that will transform this engine is not combustion, but electricity. With the elimination of the MGUH and the massive increase in the power of the MGUK, which will now generate 350 kilowatts, the balance between thermal and electrical will be radically different. Now, F1 requires about half of all power to come from the hybrid part. In other words, Audi isn't just building a combustion engine. It's building an energy computer capable of intelligently managing when to push, when to recover energy, and how to store each electron to maximize efficiency lap after lap. What makes the Audi project special is the philosophy they are applying to the integration between the heat engine, electrical system, and software. In Newburgh, they are not working with separate departments for each area. They have created a transversal structure in which combustion engineers, ERS specialists and simulation experts share the same database and the same workflow. This vertical integration allows, from the early stages of development, each decision on the turbo, compression, or injection map to be aligned with the energy management algorithms. And that is a crucial difference from other historical teams, which have accumulated layers and patches of development for years. This complexity explains why Audi does not expect to win in 2026. They have admitted it themselves. The goal of the first years will not be victory, but understanding, the maturation, the optimization, the creation of an internal culture capable of facing the pace of annual development of Formula One, something that many historical brands have taken decades to perfect. However, there is a factor that could work in Audi's favor: collective ignorance. All teams, even giants like Mercedes, Ferrari, and Red Bull, are dealing with a completely new engine structure. Everyone is learning at the same time. And in that virgin terrain, the one who makes the fewest mistakes at the beginning could be several steps ahead of his rivals. Audi knows this, and that is why it has invested in state-of-the-art simulators, in test benches capable of reproducing complete virtual race cycles, and even in artificial intelligence systems designed to anticipate failures and propose optimizations before they occur. Do you think Audi will be an immediate contender or a project that will deflate over time like so many others? Is this the new Mercedes of 2010 with dominance poised to explode in a few years? Or are we facing a story that will end in disappointment? Let me know in the comments what you think about all this.